Well, hi everyone, and welcome to another in a series of conversations with some of our favorite travel partners. Talk about what makes them truly special and to share with you how you can experience amazing vacations with them when travel returns. In this series, we're talking with some of the best travel companies in their respective categories, including ocean and river cruise lines, destination specialists, small group curated tour providers, and luxury rail vacations. Hey, today we're joined by Jeff Adam, Director of Sales at Down Under Answers, one of our go-to partners for building bucket list vacations for our clients. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Not bad, Bob. Thanks. Nice to be here. Nice way to start off a Monday, have a little chat and get ourselves ready for the week.
Absolutely. So, for the sake of our audience, Down Under Answers works exclusively with travel advisors like Vicki and me to help us create amazing client experiences in Australia and New Zealand, South Pacific, Asia, and in Africa. Jeff, can you give us an introduction to Down Under Answers, please?
Yes, certainly. We've been operating for over 26 years. And I think in essence, what we do is we pull all the elements together. So when you're going on a vacation to Australia, New Zealand, the South Pacific, Africa, or Asia, we're going to organise your flights, organise the transfers. When people arrive, we've got people on the ground that are ready to look after you. And then, of course, we piece together the itinerary. So we'll piece together the activities, your accommodations. We'll work all those little elements out. And we're using locals. I mean, it's all local Australians, local Kiwis in our team as well. And we're working with, Bob, working with yourself. We, of course, have got people that are there on call to basically help guide you through the whole process, help create these incredible vacations. And then at the same time, we're there to help make sure that if a hand needs to be held, we've got people on the ground there to look after your clients.
Absolutely. So, Jeff, coming from Australia, you have a discernible accent, of course.
You picked it up, did you,
How
Bob?
have you adapted given that?
Oh, mate, it was a bit of a trial and trip. When I first arrived, I was actually caught up with, I get excited when I talk about travel. Let me just get you there. I mean, I'm 100 miles an hour, and I got to slow myself down. So I actually went to a speech therapist, and I went through a speech therapist, and they said, look, bring your script with you. So I brought my script, and I'm having a chat, and he'll stop me. He'll say, what's that word? I say, what do you mean? He said, glacier. He'll say glacier. Oh, just a glacier, not glacier. He said, don't want to hear about some glass makeup of a hill somewhere. So it's interesting, as little things like that can throw people right off. And I thought, actually, just for us, Bob, just to start us off right now, I thought I might just kind of go through a little thing I organised for you.
Oh,
it's just
great.
how to speak Aussie. So this is going to help. This is going to help us in this little presentation we're giving here. So the first word, what you've got to assume here is that you're down in Australia and you're shopping for opals for your lovely wife. And so that opal pendant there, by the way, there's very few things in Australia that you'll actually purchase where a little bit of bartering doesn't go Australia. In Australia, typically the price is the price, like here. But in this case, the opal, well, a bit of a nod and a wink, and you might actually get your price at a point where you can actually afford it. But the first word, of course, is g'day. And then when you're walking in the door, you say g'day, and of course everybody knows that's hello in Australian. Everywhere you go, g'day, g'day, everybody's going to say that to you. Next word, very important, Emma-chizit. Can you say that? Emma-chizit? Emma-chizit means how much is it? See, you get the hang of it now. How much is it? And then when you're kind of given the price, you're a bit astounded by that price, and you'll immediately kind of say, crikey, what's that all about? Expression of surprise, because that's a bit too much for you. You weren't planning on that. So then you might throw a question out. You'll say, fair dinkum. In other words, is that your best price? Fair dinkum, mate. Is that the best you can do? And at which time you might have a little negotiation will pass. And at one point, you'll kind of hit the number that's right, and you'll go, ripper, which means that's fantastic. That's exactly. And then you'll stick your hand in your skyrocket. In your skyrocket is your pocket. You'll stick your hand in your pocket to get your wallet out, and you'll pay. And once you've paid, you'll walk outside, and you'll see your lovely wife, and you'll say, "You bloody beauty." You're talking about the opal, or you might be talking about your wife. I don't want to get in trouble here right now, but anyway, either way, it's going to be very good. You'll be very happy, I'm sure. So that's just a little bit of how to speak Aussie, basically. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I think the one that just totally doesn't make sense to me is skyrocket. That's just there's no translation really.
Oh, but there's also when you're down there and you'll have a meat pie, there's a dog's eye, a pig's ears, a beer, and some dead horse on your meat pie, or a dead horse's sauce or ketchup. See, I've got you confused, I know. So let's just leave that there. And
Oh, it's funny.
I'll try my very best to speak proper English right now.
Well, and I think your speech therapist has done quite a good job, Jeff.
I
I
think
will
so.
say
Oh,
that.
good. Yeah, I'm just very aware now when I'm making mistakes. I can tell because there's a blank stare typically, but I think you're with me, which is good to hear.
Hey, tell us about these virtual vacations. I'm really interested in this.
Well, yeah, we work with travel, with travel advisors like yourselves who are, very, have got a good following of agents, of clients, rather, excuse me, have got a good following of clients and got a good grouping of agents as well. But it was all about, with COVID-19, and all of a sudden we're housebound, where a lot of us are trapped, and the idea of travel is, something that's off in the future at the moment. So that's fine. I mean, the whole nature of travel is you travel with your mind, not so much physically anyway. And when you travel to places, it's because you're conjuring up images of, like if it's Africa, it might be Out of Africa, the movie that kind of drew you there. I mean, if it's Australia, it could be Crocodile Dundee that got you excited about traveling to Australia. But I mean, at the end of the day, we've all got ideas of what these destinations are all about. And so we read books, we watch movies, and we perhaps attend virtual vacations. And it was a wonderful idea. The travel advisors got together from cruise planners, and they decided to put together these virtual vacations, which essentially are taking you there. And we've got this, the whole promotion is built around the idea that the fun is in the planning. So call your travel advisor and let the fun begin. So yeah, the concept has been pretty much based on that.
Outstanding.
Yeah. So I suppose, and the nature of the whole purpose of creating this platform was to also to give rise to the importance of people like yourselves. I mean, I don't know if your clients realise how intrinsically important a travel advisor is to their vacation. It's peace of mind, customer service. I mean, it's the maximising the budget, making better choices, personal service, insight, expertise that you offer, the document assistance. You're basically an advocate for your clients, and also the contacts. I mean, people like myself, an industry contact. I mean, that when your clients are traveling with us, we've got people on the ground. I mean, a classic example was with this whole travel stop, this clampdown. There were people trapped overseas, and it was only the travel advisors who were there to kind of be able to give contact, give service. And a lot of the other people who booked online and booked direct or whatever, they were left high and dry. So, yeah, a travel advisor really is a mate, because they make, in this case, Australia travel easy. They are a mate. Mateship's a big thing in Australia. We look after our mates, and that's why I think we're a good fit. Down under answers, Africa answers, and Asia answers. We're a good fit with our travel advisor partners, because we help bring things together.
I like that. That's a good top 10. I appreciate that a lot, Jeff. So give us an overview of what you covered in Australia.
Right. Well, the whole discovering the wonder down under. What I did is I attempted to kind of give an overview of the country and give an idea of its size, and in comparison to the lower 48 states, because people don't realise it's pretty much the same size. I mean, when you land in Sydney, it's like landing on Florida, which is like, as you can see, where it crosses the map there, and then driving from there to Uluru, or Ayers Rock, as we know it. That drive is like driving from Florida to Denver. That's a big first day. So that's where a travel advisor is important, because they can help make sure that clients are making the right choices. And then I basically went into the whole nature of flight. And a lot of people have got an aversion to going, Australia's such a long way away. But seriously, it's not that far. And it's the nature of the destination is that the flight itself is part of the vacation. When you get on board that plane, it's a lot of fun. 40,000 feet in the air, somebody serving you nice meal and your cocktails, and it's honestly. And once all this is behind us, this whole virus is behind, you'll find it'll go back to as it was before. It's just we're going through this passage right now, so be prepared when it comes back. These airlines are going to be all out to look after people. They're going to be all out. I know Qantas is actually planning, for example, direct flights from New York to Sydney. Nice. So we're talking, there's going to be flights out of New York, out of Houston, out of Los Angeles, San Francisco. I mean, there's going to be great lift to the destination. And of course, the big draw getting there, Sydney being voted by readers of Condé Nast and Travel and Leisure like one of the #1 cities in the world. It's absolutely gorgeous. What you're looking at there is Sydney Harbour Bridge, also referred to as the big coat hanger. Paul Hogan used to work on that as a rigger before he got involved in movies. And this area down here is the Rocks, a lovely historic area, cobblestone streets and lovely markets on Fridays and Saturdays. There's a circular quay where all the ferries bring in daily commuters going to this bustling metropolis of Sydney. Population of Sydney itself is about 6,500 people. And this is quite an active city. During the week, it's a hive of activity. Weekends, it's a bit quieter. So that's an important thing to remember when you're organising your vacations. Out here on Bennelong Point, you've got the lovely Sydney Opera House. And behind that, the beautiful Botanic Gardens, which back in the day, when it was first established, was actually the Convict Gardens. So we kind of touch on that. We also, just the icons. We go to Uluru, which is taller than the Empire State Building and 5 miles around its base. It's an amazing monolith, and it's not just the physical aspect of this big red rock. It's also the spiritual aspect. I mean, when you stand here before it and you watch that sunset and it turns red and purples and blues, and you can feel something greater than thou. And it's actually something like 50,000 years of Dreamtime lore and legend that is actually of the Aboriginal people that have kind of used that rock as a teaching tool. There's special caves and there's special areas where they've actually passed on their story over the generations. It's a phenomenal. And then, of course, Great Barrier Reef, the largest. When I did my first presentation, I got up. This is another reason why I had to go to a speech therapist. I got up and said, "Great Barrier Reef, largest living organism in the world." Okay, now hold it. It actually does. It does. In October, there's a point in time where the reef actually reproduces at the same time. So I wasn't half wrong. The whole thing is like this. It actually reproduces the coral spawns, and it's the largest living organism in the world. Now, just my speech therapist, you can thank him for that. But anyway, but yeah, the Great Barrier Reef is amazing, absolutely amazing. So I just touched on the icons, then I went into, of course, one of the major icons is the wildlife, and the koalas, the kangaroos, and the chance to get close to wildlife, and then how to explore it. Be it organised tours, we can organise guided tours, and regional touring with lots of locals that will kind of get you out in the bush and get you to see places, and train travel, and even a self-drive vacation. Left is right, right is wrong. That's all you need to know. You'll be fine. So we managed to pull together enough of the elements to make sure that people feel comfortable. And in fact, that entire presentation is available as a recorded presentation. They can just ask Bob, just contact your clients, contact you. You can send them out the link, and the thing about that too, when they sign up for that link, they can put their name in, their first and last name, and then put your email address. They don't need to worry about putting their email address. Other people are happy not giving away their email address anyway. But if they put your first and last name and your email address, Bob, then that way they'll be able to click in. They'll be able to sit down with a glass of vino and watch it in their own time, or a cup of coffee, whatever they prefer, and they can sit down and watch it all. And to add to that too, we will send out a little kit to them if they're interested. If they watch the video and they're kind of excited about the idea of going to Australia, then we've got this little kit. We've got a travel planner, an Aussie map, and a dictionary on how to speak English. Yeah, so that's important. You better understand. I better go back through the book and kind of pick up on some of the things I've been saying. Maybe that I left them behind, perhaps. I don't know. Hopefully they're with me still, Bob.
That's outstanding. No, that's great. So it's nice that they'll be able to contact us to be able to receive that, which is awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah,
Jeff,
and this.
I'm sorry.
No, you're right. I was going to say, and that guide also is both for Australia and for New Zealand as well.
Excellent. What are some of the reasons people? New Zealand's very, very popular right now. We hear a lot of our clients talk about it. What are some of the reasons people would want to go to New Zealand?
Well, the people themselves, the culture, the Maori. New Zealand's an interesting country. It's actually the youngest country in the world. It's the last place settled by human beings. Those human beings were the Maoris. It came about the turn of the century, and as in 1300 AD to about 1700. So just the turn of the time itself. And so, but the Maori people, of course, then the English and Scottish came at about the 1700s, and there was conflict between the two. but they sat down and signed a treaty called the Waitangi Treaty, Treaty of Coexistence. So, I mean, it's one of the few places in the world where people really do get along. They get things done, and it's just pristine, untouched, scenic beauty. I mean, it's like some of the best parts of the world have been pulled together. This is Lupin at Mount Cook National Park and Lake Tekapo. That's vistas overlooking these mountain vistas, overlooking the fjordlands of the South Islands. I mean, pristine coastlines, the subtropical islands, fertile farmland. And with all that, you've got world-class produce. You've got fabulous beef and dairy and yeah, just great produce. And of course, the ocean that surrounds them, providing sensational seafood. And then, of course, let's not forget their wine. They're pretty good at growing some very good wine. Sauvignon Blanc is probably their prized wine. And I don't think there's any country in the world that kind of match the quality of the Sauvignon Blanc out of New Zealand. Great destination for a self-drive vacation. A great place to kind of, if people are doing cruises with you, Bob, and they want to do a little pre or post, I'd 100% wouldn't go all that way just to sit on a boat. I'd be getting off and going out and getting to meet the locals, getting out to meet the locals and experiencing what they've got to offer.
It's wonderful. It's definitely on our bucket list. We'll be reaching out to you guys at some point when travel returns to experience New Zealand. And I know South Pacific really makes for a great add-on, right, to Australia and New Zealand. But I also know for couples, as a romantic getaway, it's a really great vacation in its own right, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's that picture that you're showing right there, that image and experience of the overwater bungalows is just amazing. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, just with regards to that picture, that there is as in Bora Bora, that mountain's called Mount Otomanu, and yes, that is Tahiti. Tahiti and Fiji are both in that same region of the South Pacific. One's a little closer. Tahiti's about 7.5 hours, 8 hours away. Fiji's about 10.5 hours away. So it's but it's still within that same belt. Both are between the 70s and 90s all year round. Mm. It's only that it gets a bit humid between, say, November through to February. But even then, you're on tropical islands with lovely, soft, cool breezes off the ocean. You're in overwater bungalows. I mean, you're just diving into turquoise blue waters. I mean, the water in Tahiti is like painting by numbers. When you fly in and look down, you'll see about 3 different colors of blue. And it needs to be separated. It seems to be separated by lines. And it'll be like crystal clear. It'll be turquoise blue. It'll be, just gorgeous colors, absolutely. And of course, there's mountains are covered in tropical rainforests and rich volcanic soil and jagged mountain peaks and fringed by these swaying palms, as you see in the foreground there, with sugar sand beaches. It's just delightful. Fiji is much the same, but it doesn't have the lagoons as does Bora Bora. It does have lagoons. It does have, Jacques Cousteau, the famous French diver, he used to go to, you actually build a resort in Fiji. I mean, there he is, a Frenchman, could have gone to obviously French Polynesia, but he actually chose to build a resort in Fiji because they say Fiji is like the soft coral capital of the world. But Fiji too has swaying palms and white sand beaches, and there's a difference in culture there. You've got the Melanesian culture and the Polynesian culture, and there's quite a difference. The Polynesians, of course, from Hawaii down to New Zealand, there's a triangle that kind of sets up in the South Pacific, and that's that triangle that kind of incorporates, and of course, Polynesia, as in Tahiti, is also a part of that triangle. Then when you go further west, it becomes Melanesian, and that's the Fijians. And Fijians are like they're genetically predisposed to laugh. They can't help themselves. You have a conversation. Within the course of the conversation, there'll be a cackle. There'll be a laugh over anything. They are when it comes to family vacations, they look after kids so well that there are tears when families leave because the kids just don't want to go. I think that's the thing about, while we're in this whole phase of lockdown, and we're kind of reconfiguring how life is going to be. One thing we cannot lose is the opportunity to meet and immerse ourselves in cultures, because people bring so much. And I think for today, travelers, it's people are meant to travel. They're meant to travel. They're meant to learn, and by traveling, you do learn. And I think the idea of getting down to a place like Tahiti and Fiji is a chance to meet some beautiful, truly beautiful people. I mean, they have, example, that with regards to this whole virus, there have been no deaths in the South Pacific. Let me just go. So let's start there. There's been the number of cases you can count on your hands. I mean, these places are pure, pristine, paradise. And so if you're wanting to escape somewhere, if you feel like you're healthy and up to it, and depending on, there will be obvious restrictions in terms of travel and how we travel and all that sort of stuff, that'll be decided, but we will travel. And when we do, places like this that provide you, this sort of a pristine environment, I think it's going to be pretty important to a lot of your clients. And I want to just actually, just that I might open up and just give you an insight into how I might, I've actually done, this is actually also a recorded presentation that you can, if clients want to go to Tahiti, and also touch on the Cook Islands as well, which is kind of interesting. And Cooks is another area of Polynesian descent, but they've got more of a New Zealand, they've got an English sort of Kiwi sort of following there, whereas you could say Fiji's more Australian, and you might say that, Tahiti is definitely more French. But I wanted to give your clients an understanding of how to operate a Tahitian television.
Okay.
I don't know I think, what's a Tahitian television? I'll get to that. What am I going all that way to watch TV for? Well, I'll get to it. Let me just kind of give them an insight. I want them to kind of think now, imagine themselves in French Polynesia. They're on this gorgeous little tropical island. Palms are swaying, sun is set. They've gone to the main restaurant, which is just over here. They're sitting inside across a candlelit table, and it's a tropical balmy night. There's this lovely scent of frangipani wafting through the actual window, coming into the restaurant. The scent is just heady and it's just alluring. It's beautiful. The meal is fabulous. It's this wonderful collision of Tahitian fare, fresh fish pulled out of the lagoon that morning, food from the gardens, tropical, sweet, sticky tropical fruits. They put together this, and of course it collides with this French cooking know-how. I mean, let's face it, the French are pretty good at it. This collision of cuisine is just incredible. The night, you don't want it to finish. You're enjoying a fabulous wine. You're on your second bottle. You're halfway through. You think, I'll take that. I'm going to go out and watch a bit of TV. So you grab your 2 glasses, you grab some bread, you grab that half bottle of wine, you step out onto this wonderful starlit night and this balmy evening. You're walking down your timbered walkway out to your overwater bungalow. You come out to your overwater bungalow, you step inside, and you turn all the lights off inside, and you turn the lights on underneath the actual bungalow. And that little box there, that's your Tahitian television. You see that there? Now, you're sitting on the edge of your bed, you pour a couple of glasses of champagne, nice full glasses, you take the lid off your TV and you drop some bread through there, and your TV comes alive. All of a sudden, these tropical fish are surging around, colours, you're drinking wine. I've got to stop there. It's a romantic escape. Let's leave them at peace.
Thank you.
Next morning we awake. We awake to the sound of a concho. Oh! They put on their lovely toweling robes. They step outside of the deck of their overwater bungalow, this big tan Tahitian paddling in an outrigger canoe, glistening tanned Tahitian, big platter of sweet, sticky tropical fruit. He brings it up to the deck of your overwater bungalow, and this is where you start your day. This is where you begin your day in paradise, and your decisions have to be made. Do we go off snorkeling? Do we go off exploring? Or do we go back to bed? Hey, could be a honeymoon, who knows? But anyway, either day, it's the South Pacific. Those sort of pictures are things that we create when we pull itineraries together. It's about creating vacations to deliver on people's dreams, on the experience they want. And as I mentioned in that at the start there, with regards to the Australia kit we can pull together, if you've got clients that want to go anywhere with us, we can pull together the actual kit, and we can actually give them a little checklist of things they need to think about, because the whole nature of this exercise is the fun is in the planning, and that's what we're all about. We're about creating ideas, getting people excited, working with people like yourself, Bob, to pull it all together. And they come to you, of course, and we sit down. We can do a 3-way call too, Bob, where we can get them on the phone and we get a little 3-way call, and you're taking notes and I'm giving some answers, but we can help people get excited about their vacations. We will be traveling soon.
I love that. I love that. I love the 3-way call. And I mean, you've just painted such a picture of this whole experience. Amazing, just thoroughly amazing. It's thoroughly enjoyable, Jeff, and it's also kind of painful because we can't do it quite yet, right? So
Oh, it'll happen. It'll happen. But I mean, you think about it. I mean, things like Africa, for example, and organising a safari with. I mean, the beautiful thing about an African safari is that it's a safari vehicle. Maximum people 7. So people are sitting right now and thinking, "Gee, I've always wanted to travel." I mean, right now we're probably on Facebook more than we've ever been any time in the world. Right now we're probably closer. In fact, my mother had her 80th birthday just while this virus has been on. Her 80th birthday. I'd planned to be home. It was going to be a big show, you know, and I was very, you know, obviously deeply disappointed. We actually set up, a bit like we're doing now. We set up and 5 different households. All of us, they were having a lunch down in Adelaide in Australia, and we were having dinner up here. We all had a menu we cooked up. We were all cooking the same food, eating and drinking together. We had a great time. My mum said at the end of it, she said, I don't think I felt more connected than I feel over that moment. And I think there's probably a lot of people who are saying a similar thing. I think a lot of people who have taken the time to do this sort of, you know, conversation, the whole with their family and their friends and over various things they've celebrated, they probably feel the same thing. And now's a good time. If anybody's got the idea of, I wouldn't mind going on a vacation, start and plan 21. Now's the time to plan 2021. And you know, be it a cruise they want to get off the ground with you, Bob, or you know, it could be honeymoon plans, could be a wedding, want to do a destination wedding somewhere. I mean, yeah, and yeah, places like South Africa and also Kenya. We'll be doing these actual presentations actually on Africa over the next 2 weeks. So Thursday, Friday. But for those that don't make it, they'll also be recorded. So people can actually you know, get a chance to, again, contact you, Bob, to get the actual presentation, and they can watch it at their leisure.
absolutely, and I'll jump in here and remind the audience or inform the audience that I have had a client that thoroughly enjoyed her Kenya safari with you last year and was fully intending to complement it with the South African safari this summer until COVID-19 hit. But she'll be back, and we can't wait to send her and other clients your way because you take really, really great care of them and build phenomenal itineraries. So we definitely have a lot to look forward to, Jeff, when travel returns, and we so appreciate our partnership with you and with Down Under Answers. Thanks again for taking the time to join us today.
No, Bob, a pleasure, my friend, and a nice way to start my week. And all the best to the clients out there. And if you need any help, go and see Cruise Planners. They'll look after you, and we're always close behind them, making sure that we can give them the service they need to bring it all together. Thanks, Bob. Thanks for your time, mate.
Thank you so much. And for those of you watching, please feel free to join us again next week because we'll talk with another outstanding travel partner at that time. Thanks, everybody.